Hello, friends, and welcome to the DMD Sports Podcast. The first D stands for me, Drew.
The M stands for me, Matt.
And the last D stands for Dan, back from the dead.
He's actually here. Dan is finally here, so we can get this show on the road. How you boys
Yeah,
doing today?
guys. We weren't lying, you know. We did have a third D,
We
second D.
did. We did the second D, yes. We had double Ds. But before we get kicked off YouTube, how you guys doing?
Living.
Monday was all right for everyone?
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, yeah. But let's go ahead and hop into it. First game, Vikings Redskins. I'm gonna be straight with you guys. I did not watch that game.
I did.
So yeah, go ahead and take the lead.
It was you know what? Kudos to the Redskins for keeping it close for most of the game. Um, the Redskins defense came to play, and I feel like if Case Keenum doesn't go down, and they had to throw in Kyler Murray or not Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, I feel like they might have been able to pull it out. The Redskins just came to play that day.
Yeah.
But the Vikings, they're star-studded. Stephon Diggs and Dalvin Cook had some really good days. I think Dalvin Cook almost had like 200 yards of total offense, and Stephon Diggs had quite a few catches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook was like real close to that 175 yard mark, but Dalvin Cook has just been going off. Really huge on their game plan. Like I
Oh
think with
yeah,
the Vikings, if you can stop Dalvin Cook, but the thing he's a dual threat, so that makes it
right.
that much harder to stop him.
Well, the other problem is you can't stack the box anymore because you still have to respect Kirk Cousins, who is a decent passer, and then they have Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. You can't
Yeah.
stack the box unless you can really play man-to-man coverage on your corners.
Yeah, the Vikings are kind of legit. Um, with the NFC North, I don't know if three teams are going to get into the playoffs or not anymore, but it's looking good for the NFC North.
It's competitive.
Oh, it is certainly. Any
But
Yeah,
uh, any remarks you want to make, Dan?
yeah. I think what stood out the most to me was Diggs' performance. Now, when you look back at it, he hasn't really been performing too hot or too well. But that game, I mean, he had about 77% of the throwing yards. I mean, that's just insane how he went from, slugging to just most of the throws were just going to him. And I mean, he had about 142 yards, 143 yards. So he did
Yeah,
one hell of a job. I think from here on out, he's really going to be an important key because I think right now Minnesota is second in the NFC North. So I mean,
hmm
6-2, 4-game win streak. They're on a roll right now. Ever since Kirk Cousins said sorry, they're on a roll. Am I right?
yeah,
yeah,
and
Stephon Diggs raising noise like he did, and same with Adam Thielen. Ever since then, they've changed up their offensive style. It hasn't just been the Dalvin Cook show. They finally got their passing attack back together, and that's very scary. That's really hard to stop if you have a very balanced offense for any opposing defense.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
most definitely.
And then plus two, like just talking about Stephon Diggs, like he had 7 receptions for 143 yards, averaging 20 yards per reception there. That's insane. That's what you want out of
He's
your wide
he has
receiver.
been on a tear since he raised noise.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
kind of got himself that like bullet board material there. But
Oh
another
yeah,
thing to keep in mind too is I think that if Thielen were healthy and he were able to play in this game, this would not have been a 10-point game. I really think that the Vikings probably would have been able to run up the score even more.
I can kind of see that. I feel like again, I feel like Case Keenum was moving the ball very well on what is looking to be a very porous Vikings defense, by the way, which has been their bread and butter for a while. But the Redskins lost Quentin Dunbar, and he was doing really good work against some of these other receivers. I don't know. Just the Redskins came in and they had a chip on their shoulder. I feel like they look more motivated ever since they got rid of Gruden.
I mean, it's also to the point of the season where they're probably concerned with the players, The players don't care about tanking. I saw a thing from Pat McAfee where he's talking about this, where the players don't want to tank. The players, as far as they're concerned, you don't want anything bad on film, so you're going to go out there and you're going to do the best you can, no matter what. Now, the coach can fuck you over with the play calling, like
Right.
running a draw on 4th and 9, you know?
Right.
Um, but that's the thing there, because even if they're like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here after this season, if you have bad film out there and have horrible stats, it's not going to look good. But if you can put some good
Well,
stuff
these
out there on
players.
film,
Well, these guys they're prideful. These are athletes.
oh, they're
They
professional
pride
athletes,
themselves on
yeah.
their performance.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So even if they're tanking and stuff, they're gonna want to show out.
Yeah, it's like if we can
Oh,
lose by one
I,
possession, that's cool.
I gotta ask you guys this. I mean, what about the performance from Haskins? I mean,
I think it's kind of unfair to judge Dwayne Haskins based on the two performances he's had. I mean, his first one, both of them have been after other starting quarterbacks were taken out, and then the next one was put in. It's hard to put in your backup quarterback mid game and expect a good performance. The
Excellent
offensive
point.
line, the offensive line is set up to do that. Is set up. You're schemed for, say, Case Keenum to be playing. Then you throw in Dwayne Haskins, so you have to change up how you're guarding. You have to change up how you're moving the ball. There's just a lot of moving parts.
Definitely. And
yeah.
then the thing too with Dwayne Haskins is I don't think the question right now is how is he playing? I think the question is his development going to get completely ruined because of the Redskins organization? I think that's the bigger question.
That's
Because
unfortunate.
I, I mean, the Washington have, quarterback by committee Redskins. They could have put Colt McCoy in there. They could have, but for whatever reason, they're throwing Haskins in, and it's just not good.
They
I
are
disagree because like with a guy like he's not like Baker Mayfield,
no.
where you can put him in week 1 or not necessarily week 1, but at some point in the season and say you're the starter now, and expect a lot of him. Or like Kyler Murray, where they threw him in week 1, said, okay, you're the starter, go do it. And Kyler
Well,
Murray's been
and
playing pretty well, but for
you,
Haskins, I don't know if you can necessarily start him right away. You need to give him
I
some time
feel
to
like
develop.
you could have if you started him week 1 and gave him the Kyler Murray like ability to develop as he's playing the game, because Kyler Murray, while he started week 1 and he's been able to develop his game at a more professional way instead of having to watch someone else play. I get what you're saying, but if you're going to want to start your rookie, I would want you to start them sooner than later.
I see what you're saying.
Well, I mean, can you blame him though? To be honest, his I honestly, if you look at his college stats, I mean, the dude was a beast. I
Oh
But
mean,
yeah,
he
that's
threw.
college. The problem is that's college though. There's
that
only
doesn't
so much you
translate.
can. Yeah, it depends on what division you're playing in. What kind of a system you have there. Like, sure, you can have guys that look
Mhm.
good in college. Like, look at Ryan Leaf, for example. Huge coming out of college, and the dude was a bust.
Yeah,
That's the thing with college, where it's like you can get great athletes that are natural and natural athletes and just play very well, but it's how you develop them. Because like there's that whole thing where like there's like the talk where it's like, oh, could Alabama beat the Miami Dolphins? I think that would be a slaughter. The Miami Dolphins would kill Alabama because you got to
they're a
keep in
professional
mind they're
team.
professional athletes. Every single one of those dudes on the field, even with Miami, they were good enough on their team to still get drafted.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Whereas not everyone from Alabama is going to get drafted.
Exactly. And this also brings up an issue that I've had recently, and it's an issue that I've noticed more recently as I've really started following the NFL draft, is that the NFL draft, while it set up for success, is incredibly setting them up for these guys up for failure. I mean, look at Johnny Manziel. Yes, he had his issues, but at the same time, when you've got pundits constantly hyping up these young players, as soon as they get in, they get their opportunity to play, and they underperform, they're ridiculed, they are ostracized, they are attacked. It's not fair. You can't develop like that in this league.
No, and I think it like okay, I'm not going to use just Brady as an example, who, although when the Patriots won Super Bowl 36, that wasn't technically Brady's rookie year. That was his first year like starting, but it wasn't his rookie
Right.
year. But everyone looks, at like these quarterbacks were their second year, like Mahomes took the Chiefs to the AFC Championship last year. Brady won a Super Bowl for the team, stuff like that. I mean, you could granted the Patriots defense, in the early 2000s was absolutely stacked with the law firm, but
Mm-hmm.
even then, it's these guys take time to develop. Like it usually takes about 4 years for these guys to really get into the league, to really learn the system and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know for NFL coaches, a lot of teams real quick to pull the trigger on firing a coach, but it takes 4 years for them to implement their system and their brand and to really get a team going. And I think that's the big issue, with, especially today, because in this day and age, everyone has the attention span of a squirrel, and if they're not working right away, they want to get rid of them. Oh, heard that, Cardan.
Vroom vroom.
But
But are we good to move on from this one? I think because we're not talking about the game, we're just talking
yeah,
about drafts. Okay.
yeah.
Unless
That'd
anyone
be a
had
fun
like any
topic to
closing
talk about.
remarks.
Just one hell of a performance from the Vikings. I'll tell you that for sure.
I think the Vikings are really good on offense, but I think they've got a few holes in their defense that they need to take care of. The Redskins should not have been able to move the ball at will like that with Case Keenum.
Oh no, no, most definitely. But just from seeing the progression this season from the first 3-4 weeks to now, I
Oh, it's night
mean,
and day.
their offense. I mean, they're third in yards. I mean, they're top 10 in points. I mean, third
yeah.
in rushing yards. So they're definitely showing their offense. But yeah, I mean, that's all I can take away from that game.
Yeah.
Cool. Falcons Seahawks. Seahawks ran away with it early. Now I
They
didn't
did.
watch this one, but I saw the scoreboard for it because I enjoy watching Seattle. I do. I really like Russell Wilson. I like Pete Carroll as a coach. The dude's a fucking like character. He's just good. I enjoy them. And plus their jerseys are dope. But so typically I'll
Yeah.
try and watch Seattle's games. Um, but when I saw the score, I was like, well, I'm not going to watch this. I'm going to watch something that's a little closer, where I have like the
Mhm.
multi-game setup. I was doing that again this Sunday. Um, and I like saw like the scoreboards where like they're showing all the teams that the Falcons were coming back. And what I was wondering was, are they actually staging a comeback for being down 24 to nothing, or are they scoring points in garbage time? So I didn't really watch this game. But Russell Wilson, 14 for 20, 182 yards, two passing touchdowns. Really run heavy game for them. Chris Carson, 20 carries for 90 yards, and then Rashad Penny, 8 carries for 55 yards. So I don't know where to go from that. I guess one thing though is that they dumped what was his name, Etling from the Falcons practice squad. I saw that today, and that means the speculation is that Matt Ryan will be back very very soon.
Aw. He's gonna be back in time for hate week. That's annoying.
If I'm gonna be honest, if I'm gonna be truly honest right now, if Ryan was playing that game against the Seahawks, I don't think the score would have been as close, to be honest.
Oh
In
yeah.
what
And
way? Like
Matt
elaborate on
Ryan,
that.
so Matt Ryan has this difficult. Their red zone offense is atrocious, atrocious, and I think because of how media is perceiving it, and just the numbers don't lie. I mean, especially the week prior, how bad that they lost. It's in his head. Now they had backup quarterback playing. By the second half, they adjust, and when they
Hmm.
adjust, they started doing moves. And they started getting the ball going. I mean, I personally watched the game because I have Julio Jones, and I'm hoping he's not going to stay in this drought for long. No touchdowns and God knows how long. And I mean, it was just remarkable that watching his plays versus what Matt Ryan probably would have done. It was good to see that they were actually implementing the plays that they want to implement, if that makes sense.
I mean, to a degree, but you also have to kind of remember that, Matt Schaub, backup quarterback, he might not have the full extent of the playbook that Matt Ryan would have at the same time too. Now, I don't know
Oh,
how
of
much
course,
of the,
of course.
I don't know how much of this is Dan Quinn, just messing up with, his play calling or whatever, but
I'm gonna say that the Seahawks got their 27-zip lead, and then they just started playing prevent. Because
that could be it too.
I was looking at the drives after the second half when they had their 27-zip lead, and it was short passes, some runs by Chris Carson, punt. Some short passes, some runs by Carson, punt. I mean, I feel like
Oh,
if the Falcons did start to catch up and the Seahawks were like, "Oh crap, we're in danger," they would have turned it back up.
Yeah, they would put their foot back on the gas. I see what you're saying.
Exactly. I
well,
think they stopped too.
the
I
thing
think they
though,
stopped.
the thing though is that Russell Wilson really didn't have that big game that he's been having for the last couple weeks now. I mean, he only threw 182 yards and two touchdowns. That's good, but I mean he wasn't really the same Wilson that I've been watching the last 2-3 weeks.
That depends on
He
who
didn't
you're,
need
that
to be.
depends on who you're playing. With Russell Wilson, his 2 touchdowns, those were in the second quarter. That was 2 touchdowns in one quarter alone, which isn't bad. And if the Seahawks had to play a shootout, they certainly would have been able to this game, and I think they would have came out on
Oh
top.
yeah,
Um, it,
easily.
and part of it too, I think the reason that you had Carson with 20 carries and Rashad Penny with 8, they started doing a little running back by committee, just a little, was because they had that 4 possession lead at one point.
Exactly. The other thing is, yeah, you're looking at. I see that you're looking at Russell Wilson's stats here, but the thing is, Seattle is fundamentally a run-first offense. Yeah, Russell Wilson has put up some big numbers recently, but
Uh-huh.
again, a lot of what happened in the first half was Atlanta just turned the ball over 3 times. Interception, a fumble. Correction, 4 times because they missed 2 field goals, threw an interception, and had a fumble in the first half alone. Meaning possession was swapped, usually probably closer to the other end of the field where Russell Wilson was just in the red zone.
And I mean, what did they do after the first half though? They adjusted.
I mean, you're not wrong, but again, I feel like if the Seahawks were in any kind of danger, they would have just turned it back up. They started playing prevent.
I mean, from what I gathered from the game, it was more of the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons are what 1-7 right now.
Yeah,
1-7.
their season's done.
I mean,
If they still had a
they're,
chance, they
they're
would not have
desperate.
traded Sanu.
I mean, but they're desperate right now. They're going to turn it up. Whether they're down by 20, 14, 40, doesn't matter.
Here's
I
the
felt like
problem.
after the second half, they had to turn it up, and I think I don't really think the Seahawks really expected it, to be honest.
It's probably because they were playing prevent, as Matt said. But here's the thing: with the Falcons turning it up, they're not. Here's the thing: 9-7 is not going to win the NFC South, not at all. So you have to
Nope.
rely on that wild card spot. 9-7 is not going to get a wild card spot in the NFC. Their
Nope.
season's done. It's done.
Unless
At this
some of
point,
these
you're
other
just kind of
teams
playing
just
for your
start
pride.
You're playing for pride.
Yep.
I don't know. You did watch the game, Dan, so you've probably seen a little bit more than I did. I'm just kind of going off of the drive records and things like that, and it just seems like they took their foot off the gas in the second half and just stopped. And you're right, Atlanta was probably found a good way to adjust so they didn't end up getting blown out 27-0. But I don't know. The Falcons are fundamentally just a terrible team.
I mean, I don't understand because when you look at it at paper, I mean, the Falcons should not be 1-7.
I agree, but football games are not won on paper.
Exactly. No, fair enough. But my final takeout on this game is I'm glad Freeman didn't get suspended. That was his first issue ever. I mean, I'm glad that he didn't get suspended for a game to 3 games, and Julio Jones is starting to be more active. So I think if they keep getting Julio Jones active, finding ways for him not to get double teamed or get him more looks. I think that this is going to be a very good outlook for the team from here on out. I mean, that's my final outlook at this.
I stand by my beliefs, and it might have been a hot take, but I do stand by this. I don't think the Falcons are gonna. I find it hard to believe that the Falcons are gonna win another game. I get what you're saying. They've got the pieces. I think right now they've given up on their coach, and I think the coach has lost the locker room. They won't admit it. Arthur Blank is trying to cover it up very well. This Falcons team is very different. Very different.
Yeah. I mean, their best bet from here on out for their next win. I know this is a little too soon, but I mean, they're going to be facing some pretty tough competition after the bye week.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they got to face, the Saints.
My
They got to
boys.
face the Panthers. I mean, maybe the Buccaneers if the Buccaneers are off, but from here on out, I mean, the Jags.
Yeah.
That would be the
It-
next best bet.
Yeah, that's I'm
well,
looking at the
it'd be
schedule.
Tampa Bay.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. They're playing all their divisional matchups with 8 games to go. Only
Oh,
2 are
man.
outside the division in San Francisco, which, unless San Francisco has clinched first place, they're going to get fucking annihilated. And then Jacksonville, which could be playing for something at that point, maybe in week 16. But,
Uh-huh.
oh man, just
I mean-
stick a fork in the Falcons. Part of me would say they're not going to go 1-15, but I don't know. Maybe.
I mean-
Man, this is bad.
There's going to be those upset games. So there's going to be that one game where it's super close and the team that's supposed to win, fumbles or something crazy like that's going to happen. But I mean,
The
from
Buccaneers.
from what I'm looking at, it's going to probably be the Buccaneers. If not that, they're going to wait till the Jags.
Yeah. But moving on.
Yeah.
Just because for
Please
time,
talk about that 49ers game.
we'll
We're
get
not
we'll,
there
we'll
yet.
get there.
We got
We
ways to go.
we go in order. Bears Chargers.
Okay.
The only thing I want to say with this game is that
They lost by a missed field goal.
they did, and
called
Pinero is like on witness protection right now. But here's the thing. First off, something kind of comical, just because I thought it was funny. I was dying when I saw like a post on Reddit that was before that like missed field goal where someone said, "Hey, another game-winning drive by Trubisky. I bet you all still think he sucks, don't you?" And then they missed the field goal. But also like it was weird because from my understanding, their kicker missed a 33-yard kick, and they were at like a 41-yard kick, or 40, I guess, because they took the knee, lose a yard. So from their line of scrimmage, as it was right before the kick, you were looking at a 40-yard field goal. Their coach, he was more concerned with losing yards because of a run. Nagy was more concerned with losing yards because of a run, as opposed to losing yards because of a kneel down. Now, which is weird that he didn't mention the fumble because I don't know if it was Montgomery, but
There were 2 turnovers.
yeah, Montgomery fumbled it twice, which I feel
no, Trubisky threw an interception.
Yeah, but there were a couple turnovers because of the fumbles. But I don't know why you don't punch it in still. At least try. I mean, here's the thing with the QB knee. Like the only time I think that you should kneel before a kick is if you're already in chip, it's a chip shot, yeah. Or if you're saying, okay, I want to get the ball to my quarterback, max protection, have him get to like the very middle of the hash, or depending on the wind, wherever he has to get to, and just fall right down at that exact spot so the kicker can have the best thing. I don't think that's what they did though, and they still
didn't.
lost.
They kneeled.
Yeah, which I don't know. I have a friend at work who's a Bears fan, and she is not happy. I feel bad for her because she's like the games aren't even fun anymore. She wants Trubisky gone, she wants Nagy gone. I don't blame her at all. I don't blame the Bears organization for wanting to kind of blow it up again. Like the Bears were 12-4 last season, which is no easy feat. They're going to be the worst team in the NFC North this year.
There was going to be some regression there. I'm sorry. They won games. I'm sorry. They had like 9 touchdowns off of turnovers. That's not sustainable in the NFL. You
No.
cannot expect that to happen 2 years in a row. The defense is still really good, though.
It
Uh-huh.
is, but
Defense.
their offense needs to
Mhm.
step up. They have a first place schedule now. The offense has to step
Now,
up, and they're not.
Andrew, I wanted to piggyback off what you just said right there. For third down conversions, they're 30 for 92. 30
So
for
less than
92.
33%. That's abysmal. You can't have that in the NFL and expect to win
Well,
playoff games, you know.
the problem is, though, and it was something I noticed more because I finally saw the Bears play because they played the Saints last week, or the week before last week now.
Uh-huh.
And the problem is, fundamentally, until this week, they have not been running the ball. They finally decided to run the ball. They were able to move the chains a little bit better. But when you're facing third and long because you're not running the ball on first, second down, even to try and get closer, it's hard to convert those. And defenses are going to sniff that out easily.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of Trubisky's ineptitude as a quarterback and his inexperience. I shouldn't say ineptitude. He's not inept. It's just he's inexperienced. And he
He's not
does
really
have some,
developing. That's the problem with him.
and
I
I
mean,
think it's hard again, and it goes back to the whole Haskins thing. It's going to be a little bit hard to develop him. He's got this giant weight on his shoulders because he was not only a top 5 pick, he was traded up to be picked. So there's that. And
what
Chicago and Nagy's having a hard time trying to understand how the game is won. You have to run the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, and but that's that. Another thing with that is that I mean, Trubisky. I mean, I personally don't think he's doing that bad of a job with what he has around him. I don't think he's doing that bad of a job at all. What it
No, no, no,
is
no, no,
that
no, no.
maybe,
Go ahead.
maybe I think maybe we're overlooking their defense to be this miraculous defense when I mean I probably wouldn't put them top 10 to be honest.
Are you nuts?
I, I
They're
really I really wouldn't put them top 10. I mean they've allowed more first downs. I mean their defense is not clutch. It's probably what I should say best. Their defense is not clutch at all.
it would
Which
be
comes down to play calling. That's the thing. Like it really depends what you come out with. Like if it depends situationally. Like if you like if like for first time for example, you run like a cover zero, you get burned on it because a player like a receiver ran a deep post and the quarterback was able to make that pass and gain 40, 50 yards and you keep doing that, you know. That's not the defense's fault. That's the play calling right there. You know, now
and
granted,
again,
you could say win those one-on-one battles defensively, but that's hard to do with 4 receivers every time you run cover zero. Or if you know it's like third and one and you're going out running soft zone, they're gonna get that first down. That's the problem. Is it's more play calling, I think, and it's exactly what Matt said, where they got a lot of turnovers last season, and turnovers aren't necessarily sustainable.
they also had Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator, and he's an excellent defensive coordinator. They got Chuck Pagano. He's not Vic Fangio.
No,
They were going to regress. This is still a really good defensive unit, though. The problem is you have to have some kind of offense to help it out. Your
exactly.
defense cannot be 100% relied on to win every single game. Your offense has to let it rest. To do that, you run the ball.
I'm just thinking with the last four, I want to say maybe like last 3 games against the Chargers, the Saints, and the Raiders. Sure, they faced the Saints, a really good team. I mean, they've allowed them to have 36 points, but I mean, with the way that the Packers demolished the Raiders with their defense, which is a good defense, but a lot of people might say the Bears defense would be better, and they've allowed the Raiders to win in the fashion that they did. I personally don't think the Bears defense is that well as we might imagine it to be. I think the Bears actually should really focus on their offense because the defense is decent. It is decent. It's definitely better than top 50% for sure of the league, but they have to work on that offense.
I mean, the Packers basically. So if we're using that game as our comparison here, what happened with the Packers game and the Raiders game is one, the Raiders game was in London. It's it's hard to compare that to one that's played in the States. There's jet lag, there's a whole bunch of other factors. But the Packers against the Raiders, the Packers just kept scoring. Their defense allowed a ton of yards to Derek Carr. They allowed 24 points. That should win you a football game normally.
Sure, but this is where I'm coming from. The Raiders scored the same amount against the Packers, right?
And
They
then
had
the
40.
Packers,
It was like, and the Packers outscored them.
because of their offense.
So
Yeah.
exactly. So what I'm saying is that I'd probably compare the defense similar to the Packers with what the Bear has. But you guys are right. The offense I think the offense should be worked on first.
It's
I think that
Trubisky.
offense-
It's the Trubisky is the problem, honestly, because
I don't think Trubisky really is the problem though. I think
he's
they
not
need more
he's not
options.
developing very well at all. An example
He's
I
not.
saw from like the previous game, I hate to bring up, old news, but there was a 3rd and 4. There was a receiver running maybe one shy of like, the first down marker, but he was running from right to left. And I know there's the whole meme and the joke that Trubisky can't pass left, but he can't. That's the problem with Trubisky. The dude was wide open. If he caught the ball, he could have dove if he needed to because there was a receiver right there. He could have dove for the first down and gotten it, but instead he forced it into double coverage. You can't do that. You can't. You have to focus on moving the chains on 3rd down. You can't go for the big play on 3rd down.
No.
There's
What I
nothing
think
there's
that
nothing
is,
shameful
though-
with like running like a mesh concept, trying,
What I think that is, Drew, though, that's more of experience. That's more experience-wise. Because, I mean,
which I would give him
like
slack
you said,
last
I don't
season,
wanna
but
go
he's a
too
sec.
far back. What was that?
You can get like if it's a first year, you can cut him some slack for that. But he's
a
a second
third-year player.
Yeah, he's been there for a while now, 3rd-year quarterback, and this is still a problem.
I know, but
Either
like we said
they're
earlier, though, you got to give it like 4 years.
to a degree,
for-
but still, these are like mistakes you can't be making in your
In your
3rd
third
year,
season, especially.
in your 3rd
They're
year.
rookie mistakes.
And here's the thing with the
I
4th
think-
year.
I think next year. No, I'm going to proclaim this now. I think next year, I think Trubisky's going to get it together. I think he's going to do a hell of a lot better than he's doing this year, as of right now. And I think if the Bears add some more options, I think they're going to be a pretty damn good contender.
I mean, we'll see, but man, it's not looking good for Chicago. For time's sake, Giants Lions, we cool with that?
Sure,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah, that's fun.
I'm from New York, so this will be fun to talk about.
Yeah, Daniel Jones, 28-41, 322, 4 touchdowns is not a bad game by any means. If you want to criticize the passing, the completion percentage, it's a little under 75%, but still not bad. Saquon Barkley only averaged 3.4 yards per carry, which was interesting.
I don't think he's healed.
He might not
Oh,
be.
did you not see the moves he was putting on? I think he's back in action. I think it's remarkable how fast he, got back to being on the field and just taking those hits.
He was doing much better before injury. He's coming back. He's not doing that well. He hasn't been a difference maker like he usually is. I'm not convinced he's 100%.
I mean, I personally think that who is 100% in the NFL? All right.
To a degree, but when you're coming out like, okay, that's the thing, like 100% kind of varies within the season. But I think
Right.
if Matt has like that hypothesis that they kind of rushed him out there before he was fully healed, that's because with the NFC East going 9-7 can win you the division, and the Giants realize they're like, hey, let's go. We got a young QB. We got a couple guys on offense. We might be able to possibly get into the playoffs, but at 2-6
Right.
now, I don't think they can.
They would have to win 8 straight.
They would. They'd have to go 10-6 to do it, but even
And
then, I don't think so.
They have an okay-ish schedule too. I don't think they'll make it.
And
But
I
I
realize I messed up there because throughout their next 8 games, like next week they're playing the Giants, then the Eagles twice, and then Redskins. If they can win 8 straight, they're probably gonna make the playoffs, but I don't really see that happening.
They would have to sweep the rest of the division. They would have to beat Dallas, the Eagles, and the Redskins twice. I don't think they can do that.
interesting.
Now,
I
looking at
don't see
their
that happening.
schedule though, they are home against Cowboys. They technically play the Jets on the road, but that's not really a road game. At the Bears, which the Giants might be able to win that. Um, they play the Packers at home. Giants are not going to win. Then Eagles, Dolphins, Redskins, Eagles. It's not out of the realm of the possibility. I'm going to kind of go back on my statement a little, but highly, highly unlikely.
But what I want to take away from that game is that Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones,
He
did
had a good
not
game.
throw an interception. He did not throw an interception. You know what that means? He's learning.
And he
He
fumbles
fumbled
though?
3 times.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, and he fumbles. That's the
He
problem.
fumbles 3 times.
But he did throw for 322 yards.
But he fumbled 3 times,
You
which
can't turn over the
I
ball.
understand.
which
But
is
at
probably
that
why it
point-
killed the
at that
Giants in
point-
this game.
I mean, he needs to have better coverage at that point.
Better ball security.
Better protection on the ball, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's gonna happen that much, what I was more worried about was within the last 5 games or so, he's been throwing at least one interception a game at least, and I'm glad to see that he actually didn't throw any in this game.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
what I took from this game.
yeah, don't get me wrong, like making the reads to not throw interceptions, very, very important. But the problem is you're still fumbling the ball. If you don't have that ball security, that's an issue, you know.
I'm sorry, but I can't for the life of me imagine that this game is as close if the Lions had Darius Slay.
Probably not, no.
Yeah, I mean, but
Missing
but
the corner, that sucked. That hurt the Lions a lot actually.
But what I've actually noticed from that game with the Lions, they're actually been utilizing Amendola. I believe that's how you say his name.
Yeah,
They've been
Amendola.
really utilizing him just to get the ball down. I mean, if they can capitalize on his skill set to also, get actual scores from him, I think he was a good start this game for sure. I mean, he's coming off his chest injury and all, but I really think that I was really impressed by his performance.
Yeah.
most.
One thing to mention with the Lions, because they had like some sizable leads at one point, but I'm not sure if it was just like, oh, the Giants were scoring on garbage time and the Lions were playing prevent or whatever. But TJ Hawkinson, 1 catch for 21 yards. I don't know. That's a good gain, absolutely, off 1 catch, but I don't know how many times he was being targeted there. And this was a guy where in the beginning of the season, it might be because he did get injured at one point, and that's been kind of hindering him a little bit. But they were saying like
Yeah.
this is the most like league-ready tight end we've seen in a long time. And the fact that I know we're talking hype coming out of the draft, but he looked good
Well, the
those first couple weeks.
Well, the Lions' offense has never been the most tight end friendly.
Just for the meme here, you got Patricia trying to run it like the Patriots. What do you mean not tight end friendly?
You would think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just for some reason when the Lions get a tight end, they just don't make it work. Like Ebron is working in Indianapolis.
He's not as his performance this season so far is not to my liking, to be honest.
It's miles higher than what it was in Detroit.
Of course.
Either way.
Definitely. But even then, I think he could be utilized a lot better. I mean, you got guys like Hunter Henry coming off an injury and just killing it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other tight ends out there, but I mean, it's all about utilization. You're right, Matt. It's all about the utilization of the tight ends. I think the Lions should start utilizing their tight ends more. Because I mean, if you're gonna have talent like that, you gotta use it. It just can't be
Exactly.
sitting. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Um.
Kenny Galladay went off.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, yeah. Dude, I love watching him play.
He's a
That-
fun receiver.
Yeah, he is.
Oh my
Good.
God.
Good for fantasy. Two
He had
touchdowns, 123 yards, and 6
receptions
receptions.
Yeah, 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can you?
Dude's a great vertical threat.
Yeah.
He did do very good against the Chargers as well and the KC. So it's good to see that he might not have big games, but when you really need him, he's there. Because I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just real good quality that he's putting out there. Real good production.
Yeah.
Um,
So
you guys want to go into the next game?
yeah, Jets Jaguars. I was about
Actually, I
to
just
say
got
that.
one more note. I have one more note.
Go ahead.
Giants signed Leonard Williams.
I did see that.
I really like the move.
Yeah. Especially if they can kind of fuck around and win the next 8 games, maybe. Well, not 8, 7 realistically, but
Well,
they got to sweep the division from here on out. That's the thing. They have to.
Well, you know what? I think this is part of it's like okay, so I'm gonna make this one quick note. It's a rebuilding season, or it's the start of a rebuilding season. I think if they can just start putting some pieces in place, this team can get really good.
Yeah.
As long as they surround Daniel Jones with some talent.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, he has so much talent right now, though. He needs to get out that. He has Engram. I mean, I do know that Barkley just came back. You know, he's back, but you know he still has Shepard that's out right now. I mean, he has veteran wide receivers on the team. He has talent.
Yeah, I think Golden
He
Tate
just
will be
needs.
good for the team too. But yeah, okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, we got to move
Let's
on.
move on.
Let's move on. Jets Jaguars. So here was
My
the interesting thing. I watched the game for a little bit because it was somewhat close at one point. I did
And then
not
it wasn't.
see. Yeah, then it wasn't. I did not see much cover zero from the Jaguars. I would have expected that a lot more, but at the same time, they would have told Darnold, watch out for that. But at the same time, he threw 3 picks.
Dude, Darnold is having a rough 2 weeks. He
He's
went
having
from
those
the hero.
non-flashbacks, is what he's having.
He has gone from the hero that beat Dallas to throwing 6 interceptions in 2 games.
Yeah.
I personally think it's
No,
he's
he
just
threw
covered
4.
on
No, no,
that.
no. I think 7. I think he threw 4 against New England.
Oh, okay.
Let me
7.
check that real
I
quick.
mean, he's playing against a New England defense. First of
Well,
all,
this is the Jacksonville Jaguars we're talking about right now.
Yeah, he did throw 4 against
Oh.
New England. But still, like
He threw 3 to the Jaguars
yeah. I
and was sacked 8 times. That's on the O line though.
yeah. I feel bad for Darnold how they played that clip where it was like, "Oh, I'm seeing ghosts, man." That he's never going to live that down. Never.
Butt fumble part 2.
Dude, for real. For real. And like you even had the Jacksonville mascot come out dressed like a ghost. You know, that's how bad this is. He's never going to live it down. It's
No.
going to get to the point where you know, like if oh man, it's
If he
not
doesn't-
good.
If he can't turn himself around, that's going to be his legacy.
Yeah. But at the same time too, away from Sam Darnold, how do you hand the ball off to Bell 9 times? How? Like, are you
So-
calling RPOs the whole time and going
It
like
goes back
completely
to- it
meta
goes-
or
It goes back to play calling here, kind of like Nagy. The Adam Gase doesn't understand that you win the game by running the ball.
yeah? Well, it's Adam Gase,
Mhm.
man. It's ugh,
I don't get that signing.
no.
another thing that I want to take away from the Jets right now, besides that they're pretty much dead last in yards, passing yards, you know, rushing
Oh,
yards.
they are not.
everything.
There's no. Are they seriously worse than Miami for real?
I told you this, Andrew. They are.
No
They're
way.
pretty much dead last in everything. It's probably because they're 18 for 87 on third down conversions.
That doesn't
That's
help.
part of it. But you also have
No.
you got to look at like what the average yardage is, and then from there it's kind of like, okay, what's not working? Is it that they're not calling the correct plays on first and second down to move them up a little bit, or is it just that it's like, you know, for whatever reason, like if it's 3rd and 1, like if their average is like 2.9 yards, for example, you should be able to line up an I formation and just punch it in for that first down.
You would
you
think,
know,
right?
you would think, but no one likes I formation anymore because it's too old school. Sorry, I enjoy I formation. I enjoy that fullback play. I'm gonna have that bias, you know, but it
But,
works. It might not be the meta with like an air raid offense or Patrick Mahomes, but it works. You
It
know,
does. And
don't get
again-
away from the fundamentals. I've been seeing a lot of teams line up in the pistol this season too, which is interesting.
I've noticed that.
Like a lot in the pistol. maybe it's because like they found some versatility from that formation where it's like an offset I, but we know that our quarterback's going to get like murdered at the line of scrimmage immediately before anything can happen. But
Well, and I think again, you sign Le'Veon Bell, and you know, I don't know what his carries are for the season, but they ain't high. He's got
no,
109 attempts, which I'm pretty sure is very low
yeah. Now
compared to what he's used to.
to be fair, it might just be that the Jets are playing a lot of comeback from behind, so they can't necessarily afford to run the ball all that much either. But still, only nine carries. Like
Mm-mm. You can't win like that.
no, it was a 14 point game, two possession. You can still afford to run the ball a couple more times. Like that's abysmal. Um,
But let's stop talking about the Jets for a second here, and let's talk about Minshew Magic.
yeah, please. I
Can
was
you
literally about
bench
to
him?
segue.
Can you bench him for Foles? I don't know if you should.
See, here's the
I don't.
thing. Here's
I
the
don't
thing
think
with Minshew. Like, again, to draw a parallel to the Patriots, when Bledsoe came back, they made the decision to stick with Brady back in 2001. If your quarterback's on a streak, roll with it. Like, there's no reason not to. Now, granted, Jacksonville is playing 500 ball right now. They are 4-4, but they could still get back in the division, possibly a wild card. And if Minshew's able to get the job done, he went 22 for 34, 279, 3 touchdowns. If he can get the job done, go for it. Why not?
I think you need to amend that statement there. It depends on who the guy coming back is.
But here's the thing. Nick Foles, he's only Big Dick Nick in the playoffs. You
I'm
know,
not going to disagree with that. No. But
like
said...
if you want to start Nick Foles, for the wild card game, roll with that. But
no. I was about to say because you just said if your guy's on a hot streak, you want to start that guy over the guy who comes back.
I see what you're
If
saying.
that
Now,
was the
now,
case, you would have had Ponder still starting for you guys.
fair enough. But also at the same point too, you're not gonna keep more from Mahomes. I see what you're saying, but
It depends.
for a guy like Minshew, maybe roll with it.
Minshew, I feel like the team Jacksonville has found someone to really rally behind, and I said that earlier in the season with Minshew. Minshew, he's a good meme.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and meme
And it's-
quarterback's gonna get it done.
Exactly.
He's following Aaron Rodgers' suit. He has the mustache. It's working for him.
Does he have the mobility though?
Yeah.
Not as mobile. He can move, but not as mobile.
I think
Had 8 carries for 28 yards.
my personal thing is that Minshew is probably just below an A rating. I'd probably give him a B plus, to be honest. I mean,
What is his passer rating on the season so far?
I'll tell you in a sec.
his
Continue talking.
But
I personally think if the Jags think Foles would be better, go for it. But I mean, for what they have on offense, I think Minshew is doing a great fucking job. Great job. I mean, not just because I have him in my fantasy as my backup quarterback, but I personally think he's doing really good.
yeah,
I mean, he's thrown, somewhere around, at least, on average, 250 something yards. Not bad. I mean, he's pretty much throwing. I mean, on average, I'd say he's throwing over 2 point something touchdowns a game. I mean,
Yeah, I
we
don't know
don't
that
see a
stat.
whole lot of interceptions from him.
So, just to talk division standings
98.
real quick. 98?
98.8.
That's not bad,
Not for a rookie, that ain't bad at all. He's projected
especially a
for-
backup.
He's projected for a 61.9% completion rating, 3,952 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions.
Okay, well, that's not bad at all. So I do want to talk real quick before we move on with the standings. Jaguars in third with 4-4, tied with the Titans. Texans 5-3, Colts 5-2. The Jaguars haven't played the Colts yet, and we can talk about the Colts in a little bit, but that would be a game to watch between the Jaguars and Colts where the Jaguars could pull up an upset. I don't think they'll beat the Texans next week, but they could beat the Colts.
Oh,
But we'll get there. We'll get there. So you guys talk Bengals Rams real quick. I am gonna run to the restroom real quick, okay?
I mean, there ain't much to talk about. It was a London
Yeah.
game. Bengals should have just stayed in Cincinnati, so it looks like they didn't show up at all. I mean, the
Okay.
Rams absolutely mollywopped them 24-10.
So, real quick, just to interject real quick, if there's nothing much to talk about, that's cool. I assume you guys will move on to Buccaneers and Titans next. That's fine. I'll jump back in though. Okay.
I mean, we can talk about this a little bit.
Yeah. Shoot. Go. I'll be right back.
So, I mean, yeah, just the Bengals just were absolutely manhandled. I think Mixon had one of his best days so far this year, which I mean, 66 yards. That's abysmal. I mean, the
Yeah.
rest of the Bengals are again a fundamentally just bad team, and the Rams exploited that in every way they could.
The problem is that I personally think Andy Dalton is not a bad quarterback.
He's not a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. He's mediocre. I can get behind that.
Yeah, I personally think I mean, Green is still out. Mixon's not performing anywhere near where he should be.
I agree.
My opinion.
I agree.
I mean, your top guy pretty much is Boyd, and he's only gotten like one touchdown this season. So the Bengals need to truly work on their offense. Their defense is atrocious. It's just, I mean, I can't believe they're not dead last, to be honest, in stats. That's what surprised me.
Because to the Bengals' credit, they have had a couple close games this season, whereas like the Dolphins and Jets have been completely blown out of the water usually. So the Bengals have been able to hang in there with some of the games. Like they hung in there with the Seahawks in the first game of the season, and they've had a couple of other kind of close games this year. I think they had a close game against Atlanta at one point. I don't remember for sure, but the one thing I want to talk about the Rams though is Cooper Kupp, 7 receptions for 220 yards.
I know, but it's against the Bengals, you know.
That's still a big stat line. No matter what the wide receiver, anytime you cross that 200-yard threshold, that's noteworthy.
Yeah, I mean, he only had one touchdown though. To be honest, I would expect with stats like that, I would expect 2 to 3 touchdowns though.
I mean, the Rams spread the ball a little bit. They have their guy Josh Reynolds. They have Woods. They want to move the. They don't want to just keep feeding one dude. They're gonna make sure everyone gets a little bit taste.
Sure, I know, but if it's working good with Kupp, why not keep it going? You know, I mean, what was the score again? 24-10. I mean,
24-10. It's a London game, so that's about right.
sure. I mean, but if this was a game that was not in London, the score should have been very, very more spread out.
I agree.
Sure.
It probably would have been, but we can speculate about that all we want. But I mean, like I said, the Bengals should have just stayed in Cincinnati. Basically, they didn't show up to play.
Oh no, definitely. And honestly, the Rams. I'm actually not too happy with the Rams right now, to be honest.
Neither am I. I've not been happy with them since I would want to say since I've kind of just been watching them. They just haven't looked as effective as they did last year.
No, they're not. I mean, they're 8th out of 32 for points, and then they're 14th out of 32 for allowing points. So
that's not bad.
For the Super Bowl contenders that we saw the Rams were prior.
No, that's definitely a dip.
Yeah, I would expect a bigger margin, if that makes sense.
Agree.
I mean, we're also seeing a dip in KC as well, but I mean, usually you see those dips after a team wins the chip. You know what I'm saying? You don't see it if you're so close. If you're so close and you just needed a couple more tweakings, you wouldn't see dramatic. Well, it's not dramatic, but you wouldn't see such a decline as we're seeing right now. You would see more passion, more fire, you know?
Well, and the issue that you're running into with the Rams is that they have lost the ability to just run the ball. I mean, on the season, they have 199 rushing attempts. They have 778 total rushing yards among all their running backs.
Uh-huh.
and they're averaging 3.9 yards per rush. They have Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley has arthritis, but their run game has just vanished. It's nowhere near as potent as it used to be, and now people are realizing that Goff is not the quarterback he was last year because he doesn't have the running backs to save him.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that just shows you how important Todd Gurley is.
Oh, absolutely. He was the Rams' offense.
Yeah,
100%.
and it's
I
why
mean,
it's why Gurley has to get on that CBD to reduce that arthritis. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Never. The NFL will never.
I don't know why they wouldn't. Like CBD doesn't get you high at all. Like
The
literally.
NFL would never.
I mean, it's no longer Schedule 1. Police officers are allowed to use that. Police officers are allowed to take CBD.
The NFL would never.
And that's why
Unless
the
the
NFL
CBA is part of
sucks.
that agreement.
Now with the
what I
CBA,
actually
they'll
wanted to
fix
bring up
that.
real quick, guys, to bring up was, Matt, you made a really good point. The running game is where they're lacking.
Oh
If
yeah.
you look at the running game is from last year to this year is not where it should be, and it's just incredible to think that it's all because of Todd Gurley. I mean, they have a bye week coming up. They're on a 2-game win streak. To be fair, it's against the Falcons and the Bengals.
It's not really impressive.
No, not
Yeah,
impressive
it's not.
at all.
And then they face the Steelers and the Bears, so they're probably going to end up being a 4-game win streak. And I bet you the Ravens are probably going to end that win streak come November.
I'd be so bold to say that the Bears end that win streak.
That's a spicy take there.
I mean,
it's in Chicago. And the Rams do not travel as well, especially in Chicago.
No, I think it's gonna happen with the Ravens. I just don't see. They're gonna have the bye week. They're gonna come back. They're gonna face the Steelers. It's gonna be a cakewalk for them. They're probably gonna get close against the Bears. I still think they're gonna win. It's probably gonna be closer than what you'd expect. But against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, I think that's where it's gonna end. It's just a shame because after that, they face the Cardinals, but then they face the Seahawks again, which are gonna just totally get rid of their rush. They're running. They're gonna face the Cowboys, the 49ers, and then by the end, hopefully they can beat the Cardinals again. But I'm not too happy with their schedule.
I don't think they're making the playoffs.
No, the NFC North, the NFC is so very top heavy. They're not going to make it.
Too many
what are they right now? They're third. They're third in the NFC West.
Yeah.
The Seahawks can beat them. San Francisco can manhandle them. They're done.
But also, I mean, they have a lot of injuries too.
Not.
To be fair.
So to explain another aspect that's wrong with the Rams team is that they were relying on Andrew Whitworth and I forgot his name, the other lineman, who are now well into the mid-30s to continue the level of play they had last season.
Yeah.
No, not
and
Clay
like
Matthews.
When you're getting the hell beaten out of you on every play when you're in the line, you can't do it.
Yeah, Havenstein and Whitworth have not performed like they did last season, and it shows.
Yeah.
Goff is unprotected, and the run game just can't get going. So we can move on to Bucks and Titans.
Cool. So I'm going to start off saying this with regards to Bucks and Titans. Oh, I do want to mention it because I didn't have a chance to before. This is probably like 20 minutes old at this point, but the Steelers beat the Dolphins 27-14. We will talk about that in a minute. But yeah, Bucks Titans. If Winston did not, I think it was 2 red zone interceptions or 2 that were within Tennessee's territory, they would have won that game. But because of the turnovers on the Bucks, they lost that game again. That's the problem.
Ryan Tannehill on a 2-game win streak. Oh, that's funny to say out loud.
Well, think about it though. They were 2-4. Tennessee Titans. They're like the T in Titans stands for Thanos. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. They're gonna finish 8-8.
Oh, and they're 2-2. They're also 2-2 at home.
Yeah. 2 and
And
2 on the
they're
road.
2 and 2
Perfect.
on the road.
Perfect. Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Wow.
But yeah, it's I see. Here's the thing with the South is like the South is so close. Like I mentioned it before, the Colts have the advantage kind of
AFC
because
South,
they
right?
yeah the AFC South.
Yeah,
Um,
AFC South.
they had that advantage because they had that bye week. So they're 5-2 right now. Texans 5-3. Jags and Titans both 4-4. It's gonna be interesting going forward, but it's the Texans and the Colts are probably going to run away with the division. They're going to be the two contenders for the division. But any given Sunday, it's football. You never know.
I I I think I really think the Titans are actually gonna do better this season than the Texans.
Nah.
I don't think so. I mean, the Texans did lose J.J. Watt, so they do lose some of that pass rush.
It's
Um,
Deshaun Watson that's the difference, though.
yeah, and then you got Hopkins, Fuller, Stills, excuse me.
Their offense is good. Deshaun Watson's the leader, and I feel like, yeah, they lose Watt. That's unfortunate. They still have Whitney Mercilus, and Mercilus is still a really good running. Wow, a good defender.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I feel like they can find a way to replace that production. It won't be the same production, but at least mitigate the blow a bit.
yeah. Titans are not going to win
I
the
don't
division
know.
though.
Absolutely not.
Now,
By the way, can we just
granted,
go back to the time when we were all debating Winston versus Mariota?
you know, if Mariota wasn't constantly getting injured, I think he could have been a better quarterback. Obviously could have developed a lot better, but they decided to roll with Tannehill. Is there anything else really mentioned in this game besides the Buccaneers turnovers really killing them?
Evans had a huge day.
Evans had a great day. I think the Buccaneers. I think the one thing that the Buccaneers are doing well right now is utilizing probably two of the top. I'd probably say two of the top 10 because I don't think Mike Evans is really top 5 right now. Two of the top 10 wide receivers in the league. I
Yeah.
think they're doing a great job utilizing them.
That's all they can do.
And then one thing also to note too, the Bucks said today they are open to trading OJ Howard for a substantial offer.
Saints, please,
I
please.
okay. I'll get to the Patriots later. I would not mind picking up Howard either. But you
Oh
guys
my
lost Cook.
God.
You guys lost Cook.
If we got Howard, we would have, and when Jared Cook came back, we would have Howard, Cook, and Josh Hill to go with Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn, and Traquan Smith. I'm
Yeah.
salivating.
And then
Sorry.
you got Taysom Hill too, who did some stuff against the Cardinals.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have we even talked about that yet? But I'm going through the list. I'm like, nope, not yet.
Nope.
But do we want to talk Eagles Bills?
Bills finally lose another.
So here's the deal. I think because last week it was very competitive between the Bills and Dolphins. I think Brian Flores, because he is a defensive guy. He's clearly tanking, but he might have figured something out with the Bills defense. I think they might have gotten exposed a bit because they just lost 31 to 13.
I agree. I feel like they're again the Bills have been winning with their defense. Expect regression, especially as the season goes on.
Because yeah, a lot of it isn't sustainable just because teams will see stuff on film and all that, but still, yeah, the Bills' offense is like their Achilles heel. Excuse me. But that's the problem with the Bills. Josh Allen's still not making the best of throws. He underthrew one into double coverage that should have been picked off at one point in the game. I do remember seeing that, and I don't know about the Bills anymore. If that's the thing, if they can shut down a team's offense, they stand a chance. But they're not going to win shootouts. They wouldn't be able to beat Kansas City. Depending on what New England does, I don't think they could beat New England. Talking within the league, within the AFC, I mean, oh boy,
if the Bills can get you into a slugfest, they have a really good chance of winning.
But that's the thing, and if they got exposed on defense, that's a huge problem.
It is, but and again, to the Bills' defense's credit, and I just looked at this stat line. Eagles ran the ball 41 times for 218 yards.
Yeah.
The Bills ran it 20 times in comparison. And their highest carries were from Frank Gore, 9 carries for 34 yards. I don't know. I
He's
feel like the
close. He's
Bills
close
got
to
away.
getting.
Which
Sorry, what was that?
he's became the 5th player to reach 19,000 yards.
No, I'm not doubting Frank Gore at all, but
No, he's
the
close to
thing
getting
is,
third all time rushing yards. Real close.
for
Yeah.
sure, it's just I feel like they got away from the run game too quick.
What I personally called this game. I said the Eagles were going to beat the Bills. The reason why,
Eagles are desperate.
not just that, but like you said, Matt, I knew they were going to run the ball. Someone was bound to exploit the defense that the Bills have, and the Eagles did do it. I said if anybody was gonna, beat them again, I figured it was gonna be the Eagles because you're right, the Eagles are desperate. But the Eagles do have talent, and Wentz is, I would probably say, a B quarterback. Maybe B plus. He's gonna outperform Allen, in my opinion, which he
Oh,
did.
absolutely. No question about that.
Yeah.
And
But it's also
She
how
had
that
good-
Bills defense can roll. Now, granted, I think the big part too is the Eagles got their running game moment open, which really like opened up that passing game for them.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah, but what it
but-
was that Matt's right. The rushing, it's just they exploited the defense. I knew it was gonna happen. I figured it would be the Eagles. I mean, obviously the the Patriots, were the first to do it. They faced them pretty early on.
And that
But,
was based on
I'm
a
actually
lot of
impressed with
turnovers
Eagles.
too. So Josh Allen
Yeah.
still does not know how to slide properly. Now, granted,
Does
what was it? It's like unsportsmanlike conduct if the defender, like when the quarterback is sliding, still makes contact with the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, granted, there was one where the Eagles player kind of dove in, should not have really made that. I get it, but if you can tell he's trying to get out of the way, the Eagles defender did not do that. But still, just that's the thing with Josh Allen, with when he's making those runs, he's running like a fullback. He's gonna get lit the fuck up, and he probably knows the rules are helping him to a degree, you know. But at the same time, like he had a really awkward slide at one point. Where I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, it was weird. It was very weird, like how he like folded his knee and like his leg and whatnot. Like
Yeah.
it was weird, very very weird.
I gotta ask you guys this though, real quick. Did you guys know that Wentz actually has a tied streak right now for consecutive touchdown passes, tied with Russell Wilson?
You mean games? Yeah, yeah, consecutive games with a touchdown pass. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, it's consecutive games, correct? 10 consecutive games, both him and Russell Wilson. But when you look at Russell Wilson, he's having way better of a season than Wentz is.
And part of it too with the Eagles was for a while their receivers just couldn't hold on to the ball.
And again, they weren't really helping the quarterback out by running the ball until last Sunday.
Yeah.
I think the Bills still have some work to do. I think they really need to work on their offense right now. I think their defense is top 5 in my opinion, maybe even top 3 right now in the league.
Top 10. I'll give it top 10.
Top 10. I think the Bills are putting on a show when it comes to their defense.
Except for
but
last week.
definitely their offense
Yeah.
needs to work.
I think the Bills are of the AFC East teams. I feel like the Bills are the closest to breaking through and becoming a better team. I think they need to get some pieces on offense, and Josh Allen needs to continue to develop.
Yeah, he's making some really poor decisions with his throws. Like, he's that
But-
kid on Madden who says this play has a lot of lines that go deep downfield. Let's do this. That's
Exactly.
that's not how you do it, you know.
No.
I know there's like this like it's almost like shamed to dink and dunk, but if you gotta do it, you gotta do it, man.
Exactly.
And the bottom line is, if
Alright.
you're winning games, it doesn't matter. But yeah, let's move on.
Colts and Broncos?
Yeah, sure. So Here's the thing
That
with the Colts. It's the thing with the Colts and some stuff on the Broncos too. The thing with the Colts is I don't know if it's the Broncos defense is that good. Like for a second, I thought that the Broncos were playing at home, but then I realized I saw the logo midfield. I was like, wait a minute, no, they're playing in
this Lucas Oil.
Indianapolis. Yeah, it was weird. Just because the Broncos were really able to stop that offense for the first half.
You know what? And you're right about that, but I'm gonna say another piece and a thing that I've noticed because I've now seen a few Colts games this season. They're patient, incredibly patient. You stop them in the first half, you try to shut down the run game, you try to shut down Brissett, it's fine. They'll still keep at it and try to make it work.
Yeah, but granted, the Broncos don't have the best offense, which is what killed them this
No,
game. If the Broncos had a decent offense, some decent play calling, they could have ran away with this real quick. And the Texans would not be leading the division. They would be tied, 4-3 apiece.
I I again, I feel like the Colts have two sides to their team. I feel like they have the Colts that are ready for a slugfest, and then they have the Colts that are ready for a shootout. Because I don't know if you saw that last play by Brissett, but oh my God, that was a beauty. Brissett's in the end zone, right? Von
Hmm.
Miller on his back almost. He shakes off Von Miller to avoid the safety, throws downfield, drops a absolute dime to T.Y. Hilton, basically to seal the game. It was amazing.
Yeah.
The Colts are capable of doing that.
I wasn't happy with how the Colts played.
You know, it's understandable because they've beaten teams like the Chiefs and the Texans recently, but sometimes these are the types of games that really matter, these slugfests, because it shows that you're winning in different ways besides just your offense, besides just your defense, things like that. They ran the ball okay, and they were able to keep the Broncos down. Yes, you're right. They have a pretty rough offense, the Broncos do. But I don't know. I kind of like what the Colts did that day. It made sense.
Yeah. And bottom line is they got the win.
Exactly.
Vinatieri was able to bury the kick very well.
This game is nowhere near as close. Well, this game isn't as close if Vinatieri makes his, the extra point and then the other field goal. I mean, it's close, but I mean, the Colts would have had the lead going into the end of the game. They wouldn't have had to do what they had to do.
Yeah. One thing though with the Broncos, might Flacco might be out, possibly something with the neck. Some
He's out for
rumors
the
were
season.
it's been
He's out for
confirmed.
the season.
It's been confirmed.
IR. I believe
Oh
so, yeah.
well, because I got a buddy of mine who's a Broncos fan. He was ecstatic that Flacco's out.
You know, I wouldn't be.
It
I get everyone's
Flacco
I get it.
Flacco won a Super Bowl once. Now granted that was in the AFC when he had to compete with Brady and Manning, but still
I'm not gonna say
Flacco's a very middle of the road quarterback. He's certainly
I
regressing.
agree.
He's getting older, and you got that awful play calling with the Broncos and Elway. Don't get me
I don't
started. Don't
think
get me
this is
started on Elway.
I don't think this is Flacco's fault entirely. You hit the word right on the head. It's play calling.
Oh
And
no,
Flacco called it out.
that game against the Chiefs when they had a 3rd and 2 in their own territory. If Flacco, I don't know, maybe unless Flacco was like smoking some of that Colorado reefer, but he's not like 3rd and 2. He's not going to go out in the gun with a single running back to his right. He's going to say, hey, we should probably run the ball here. Let's go ahead and run a wham. Let's run a trap, an ISO,
Exactly.
something, to get that ball. But for whatever he's like, okay, let's line up in the gun here. Okay, we're gonna probably throw slants here. Did not fucking work. That's the problem.
Exactly.
What do you guys think on Sanders being going to the 49ers?
That's that'll help the 49ers definitely. We can talk about that in a little bit. If we want to
Yeah.
have general banter, like after we talk about the games, before we do hot takes, we can kind of try and do that. I don't know about time though. Um,
Yeah, we're running on we're already at an hour and a half, guys.
for real.
It's 9:30. We started at 8.
Damn, dude. Okay, let's
But we
roll
also
through.
have 3 people now.
That is true. Let's roll through this. Cardinals Saints, very close first half. Saints eventually ran away with it. That's my story. That's what I want to say. Edmonds is injured. They picked up Kenyon Drake. that might help the Cardinals going forward. But if they're trying to, get, I don't know. The thing with the Cardinals is that here's the thing, the NFC is very top heavy. The Cardinals are not going to be able to get into that. I don't want to say they should tank, but if they want to keep trying stuff out, maybe, figure out what works, that's fine, but they should also remember where their draft pick is going to be if that does not guarantee success in the postseason.
The draft doesn't also always help and always matter. For right now, the Cardinals are in the middle of a rebuild. I feel like for them to keep building on what they currently have, it would make more sense to try and keep games close, try to win games. I get it. If the Cardinals finish 7-9 or 7-8-1, that's a really successful season in my opinion.
Oh, after last year, absolutely.
I think they're
After
doing.
last... What's up, Dan?
I was gonna say I think they're doing a lot better than I expect them to do this season.
Well, they got a new coach, new system, a quarterback that can work in that system. It's
Yeah.
going well. The Cardinals are kind of doing something right. The fact that they're 3-4-1 so far this season shows they're doing all right.
Stuff.
They're doing stuff. Yeah, exactly. Now, granted, I don't know how they're going to regress next season as they get film and and all that, but we'll see.
Again, well, film doesn't matter if you're developing your quarterback right.
True.
It doesn't matter as much if you're developing your quarterback right.
Yeah.
But my bit on this is...
Yeah, you're the Saints fan? Please talk about your Saints for a bit. Please, go ahead. You got the floor, man.
The captain has arrived, took control of the ship, went 34 for 43 for 373 yards and 3 touchdowns. 1 interception. That was a bad throw, but I don't know what he saw there. But he looked amazing. The thumb didn't seem to be a factor. He looked comfortable in the pocket. He had the pocket collapse around him a few times. Didn't care.
A lot of that work came in the second half, though.
That's fine. I mean, you win as long as you're winning, right?
True.
Definitely.
Then Michael Thomas, who went up against Patrick Peterson all day, absolutely manslaughtered Patrick Peterson. 11 receptions, 11 catches on 11 receptions, or 11 targets on 11 receptions for 112 yards and a touchdown. Latavius Murray had another great game. I'm really hoping that after the bye week and after what we've seen from Latavius Murray, that Sean Payton's like, oh, hey, I have an Ingram Kamara situation, but with Murray and Kamara, because Murray's a bruiser and Kamara is dangerous in the backfield. Taysom Hill caught a touchdown. And the Saints defense has now held a couple teams to no touchdowns this season and have allowed less than 10 points in, I believe, 3 games back to back. No, correction, that's not true. But the Saints, I'm really excited. And I should not be. It's the bye week. It's only week 8. But man, oh man, I don't think I've seen a defense like this before from New Orleans. And to pair it with now what looks to be a Drew Brees-led offense that looks incredibly dangerous, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
That's
One thing I like about the Cardinals, though, real quick, I like that they're being aggressive with fourth down. Depending on where you are on the field, I like that.
Not on the 30.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. Third quarter, a one-possession game. That's the thing with the Cardinals.
30.
Here's the thing, though. If you can kind of be a little risky and say, hey, if you think your defense can hold to a degree, worst case scenario, touchdown, it's still a 2-possession game. It's like, okay, we're playing a little behind, but we can still possibly get back into this thing and go from there.
What happens there is, so I get what you're saying. Aggressiveness is good, but here's the thing that happens, though. Your defense gets really hyped up because they made a 4th down stop in that part of the field. You then give it back to a Hall of Fame quarterback to throw the ball from the 30. And then you put out your defense that has been out there already for 55 offensive plays.
Yeah.
That was a dumb call. Even if it worked, it's a dumb call because of that risk.
Well, that's the thing about risk is that you're putting a lot on the table, That's the thing.
I saw it and I was like, even if that did succeed, this is a stupid call. You are asking a lot if it fails. You've got to know your opponent if you're going to do that, because what that one play did is it turned the game around for the Saints
Yeah.
immediately.
And they got momentum, which is another thing I guess you can say in hindsight. I guess I should have mentioned this, but if they can get momentum, that can cause some trouble, especially if your offense kind of panics, especially with Kyler
Mhm.
Murray being a young guy where it's like, they're thinking ahead. They're not thinking one drive at a time. If he's thinking ahead saying we're behind by 2 possessions, we have to do something big now, that can cause some issues. Do we want to move on
Exactly.
to Panthers 49ers?
I mean, Dan wants to talk about it,
Yeah.
so
So
sure.
real quick, we were all wrong. We all picked Carolina. Personally, I was huge on the Allen train, and we saw what
That was
happened.
huge on McCaffrey.
51-13. The
I was
last time I saw an animal get slaughtered on my television that badly was
Harambe.
when I watched Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh,
It was bad.
I was too high on the Panthers defense and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. You know what? The 49ers proved themselves this week. They did. They absolutely did. Kyle Allen, 19 for 30, 758 yards, 3 interceptions.
Coleman.
I'm not sold on Jimmy G, but yeah, Tevin Coleman carried that team on offense.
So the reason why I thought the Panthers we're still gonna win this. I thought they were gonna give the first L to the 49ers was because I haven't seen the offense. I mean, you see the offense of McCaffrey. You see that offense. It's insane. But then you see the offense from, the running backs on the 49ers, and you're like, they're getting the ball down. They're doing their running offense that they always do. But this time it was different. Coleman was out for blood. I mean, 4 touchdowns. I mean, Aaron Jones got 4 touchdowns the other day. Now here's Tevin Coleman getting 4 touchdowns. I mean, it's a new age for football, in my opinion. I mean, these
Oh,
guys
definitely.
are really out here showing themselves, proving themselves. Coleman's back from his injury. It took a couple of weeks, but here he is now, just being a beast, cementing himself as RB1 for the 49ers. They're going to get Sanders in that mix, so you might see a little bit of production go down, but I do believe the 49ers did have a running back that did get injured. It wasn't Breida. I forgot who it was, but
Mostert.
that's gonna. I believe so. That's gonna put more of a workload on Coleman. So even with Sanders coming onto the team, a little bit more of some passing going on, I still think Coleman's gonna get a heavy amount of touches. And with this performance against the Panthers defense, I mean, I think at one point didn't he run like a 50 yards for a touchdown? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I've seen Tevin Coleman before. I've seen him. I've seen him in a Kyle Shanahan offense as well. He was on the Falcons. He was also on the Falcons when Kyle Shanahan was the coordinator for the Falcons.
huh?
I'm sorry. I'm not. This was a really good win by the 49ers. This was one of those prove it type games for them. I still think they're not as strong as people are making them out to be. I will beat that drum to death because I don't think Jimmy G is good. Their run game is good. Their defense is excellent.
That's why.
think,
Mm-hmm.
but against good run stopping teams that are going to make Jimmy Garoppolo play the game, they are going to struggle.
That's the thing though, Matt. I really think that the 49ers running game, I don't really think any defense right now in the league is gonna stop it 100%. I mean, when they faced who did they face the other day where the score was very low and they won?
Oh, against the Redskins and that
That was in the rain.
disgusting. That was horrible field conditions. They won 9-0.
Yeah, that was a rain, dude. It was like hurricane conditions out there.
And
That's not
they
really
went out and played
fair.
in sunny California and put up 51 points.
Yeah.
I just think, and I mean, just thinking about the conditions that they were in. I mean, the running game obviously was a huge risk. They still pulled off the W. They still pulled the win. I think the 49ers are fucking amazing this year. Like I said before, I think the Patriots are going to lose before the 49ers. That's point blank. I think the 49ers are going to have by the end, I think the 49ers will have the third best record
49ers with a third.
in the
Okay,
league.
we'll wait for hot takes before you tell us who are going to have the top two records. For time's sake, do we want to go ahead and talk Raiders Texans? I don't have much to say there. If we
Rip
want to move
JJ
on,
Watt.
yeah, rip JJ Watt, smashing that F button. The football
Oh,
gods show no mercy. Amen.
Deshaun Watson with that insane game-winning touchdown.
Yeah,
That was wow. He had a foot in his face.
yeah, he managed to get free and just threw it. But Derek Carr and Deshaun Watson both had solid games. Both threw three
Oh, they did.
touchdowns, only 6 yards receiving separating them. Carr went 18 for 30, and then Deshaun Watson went 27 for 39. You could say the completion percentage was a bit better, but this one went down to the wire, and the Texans managed to pull it off. They got two. They
Good
got
on the Raiders though. You know, they've
yeah.
they're putting up some fights this year, except against the Packers. But I feel like the Raiders are going to turn that corner eventually. They just got to get a couple more pieces. Also, DeAndre Hopkins finally reappeared.
Yeah, he did. He
All
did.
right,
11 receptions for 109 yards, but do we
we can
want
move on
to
now.
move on? Okay. If I may ask if I can have the floor here, just because it is Browns Patriots.
Only if I can say that shovel pass was hilarious. That's
Dude, for real, I wasn't even cheering. I was just laughing. And I said, "Go, guy, go!" You know?
I was crying of laughter. I was like, did that really just happen? My mom thought there was a flag on the play, and I was like, no, he just did that.
Yeah, so when that happened,
Have
Reddit
fun.
was broken, and like comments were not showing up on RNFL for whatever reason. So I had to go to fucking 4chan just to see what people were saying when that happened, and of course it was just people like laughing the whole time, which makes sense. But here's the deal: if the Patriots don't get those 3 turnovers, this game is much closer. Here's the thing: the Patriots, they need an O-line. They need to pick up Trent Williams if they can. Now that the Redskins are saying, "Hey, we'll take a substantial pick," I think the Patriots should seriously consider trading a first-round pick for Trent Williams. I think they should, because here's the deal: if with the addition of Sanu, I said, okay, that makes sense because ideally you have another slot guy. You can have Edelman and Sanu both on the field at the same time. They can run their routes very quickly, and Brady can get the ball out very quickly. However, that O-line is not holding up. And because of Brady's age, he's smart enough where he needs to fold the second he feels a defender's hands on him to avoid getting seriously injured. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's here's the thing with the Patriots, they need that O-line. They're really hurting by not having Devlin. Sony Michel had a really good game, but I don't know how much to attribute it to it because of sloppy field conditions with all that rain, especially in the first half, but the Browns kind of sort of started to make a game a little bit, you know,
I feel like
after
they
it was
found a
17-0.
weakness.
What was that weakness?
Your run defense.
Here's the thing. While I don't disagree, I wonder if that was because of sloppy field conditions where you have Chubb, who is a good running back, and he's sopping wet and you cannot get a hand on him. That might be part of it too.
I mean, I suppose that's a viable answer. I'd have to check.
That's how I'm feeling. I mean, Chubb
But, I
went
mean, that
20
was-
for 131 yards. Not bad by any means. And then plus the Browns had they got Landry, they got OBJ, they got some good guys on offense, but at the same time, Freddie Kitchens, he made two horrible challenge calls. One was a pass, I think it was a pass, no, one was definitely offensive pass interference on a pick play where I don't know why the guy telling upstairs that was watching it was like, yeah, do not even bother challenging this. He went ahead and challenged it, but it was clearly beyond the 1 yard for contact, and it was clearly offensive pass interference. But yeah, it's
So you
that here's the it might be because of the meme where it's like, oh, the Patriots didn't win by 30, the season's over. They might have gotten the win. Brady got 2 really good touchdown passes. but I don't know how I feel. I'd say I'm a little worrisome at this point, just
Because now you're
because
starting to go up against some pass rushes and some other
we need
various
we
things.
need an O line, and I'd
You
like to
do.
say that Scar, their offensive line coach, or Scarnacchia, excuse me. I'm just going with the nickname, but people don't know who Scar is if they're not a Patriots fan, probably.
Right.
But even with the O line coach, as good as he is, you can only do so much with the talent.
Right.
Burkhead finally played after being injured, but he didn't look all that great. A lot of drop. It was a sloppy game. I want to say it was partly because of the field conditions with how like rainy it was in the first half. But
So you said you wanted to say because it was all sopping wet and stuff.
yeah,
With White Chubb had a big game.
no, I'm not saying that alone. I'm just saying that in respect to why the Patriots had some trouble missing tackles.
I don't think it was just. I wouldn't say it's missing tackles. I would say it's tackle broke. And yeah, no, that's fair. But I mean, you've of. I mean, of the games you've played this year, the best running backs you've faced have been Bell, Frank Gore, and Chubb.
Yeah, and Frank Gore went off. So maybe
Frank
the run
Gore also
defense
went
isn't there.
off.
I almost wonder if the Patriots were overcompensating possibly for. Here's the thing. They might be like, especially when the Patriots are running that zero blitz, they're saying, okay, we have the pressure up front where we can get in the quarterback's face, make a mistake for a turnover, because the secondary is that good. But if they, like you said, I guess I can kind of see it where if they can't stop that run game, they're gonna have some trouble.
Exactly.
Um, but that's all I wanted to say there. I would not
I
mind
got
OJ
nothing really to
Howard,
say.
but I would rather trade draft picks to pick up Trent Williams. Seriously, first round pick, do it. Just pick up Williams because then we'll get win back, and that's needed, especially with James Devlin being gone for the season. If I don't know if anyone else had any comments regarding that, I'm cool to move on to Packers and Chiefs.
I stand by my state. Yeah, we can move on. And I stand by my statement about the Chiefs that I made last week. They will be okay without Mahomes for a couple weeks.
So is that because Mahomes is a system quarterback?
God dang it.
I say that
No.
half ironically, half unironically,
Okay,
because
good.
they be between Andy Reid and sprinkling his magic on quarterbacks, and then also all the weapons they have on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Moore, who is a solid backup, can come in and win some games.
He did for the Dolphins.
Yeah, yeah, he can. Um, and I'm not trying to disparage Mahomes at all, but because here's the thing with Mahomes coming back. He's like, there was that like thing on the sideline where they said, one of their reporters was saying that if Mahomes said that if it was a playoff game, he'd be playing, but because it's regular season, he's going to kind of wait it out a little bit. I'm concerned about that O-line and getting re-injured because one of Mahomes' huge weapons is having that mobility, being able to
Yep.
break 3 tackles, run across to the sideline, throw it across his body, and get like a 30-yard gain out of it.
Yep.
That's Mahomes' thing. But because I've seen a lot of things where maybe the knee dislocation was really like not as bad as people were anticipating, where they saw no MRI damage, which is why he's gonna be back relatively soon. But I've seen some
Right.
things where people were like, after that knee dislocation, you could feel it like floating around a lot more than before, which could hurt him with his mobility game. He'll
So,
play through the pain, I bet. He's a professional athlete, but at the same time, there's that huge risk of re-injuring himself.
so I saw an article where they said that he's able to recover from this so quick because of the way he was born. He's got loose
Oh, his
knee
genetics?
ligaments. Yeah, he has
Ah, yes.
loose knee ligaments.
Brady probably like DM'd him over the weekend. He's like, "Hey, here's some pliability things."
Yeah.
What I want to take out of this game right here is they'll be okay without Mahomes, for the next couple weeks or however long it takes for him to get better. But I mean, they still lost with to the Texans, to the Colts. I mean, I don't see them as much of a competition as last year, to be honest. I
I think they need to adjust. They have a very bad defense that needs adjust.
Yeah,
and you know what it is too? Is they have too much options on offense. I think they just have way too much. They have so much talent, and they just have too much. Like when you have too much candy to choose from, and you don't know what to eat first, and next thing you know, you got diabetes. I mean, it's similar to that. You
I
got too many
don't.
options.
I'm gonna
You don't know
disagree
what
with
to
you
do.
here. I disagree
No, I think
because no. Here's the thing: if you can get multiple guys open in your offense, you go with the guy that's the most open and just bomb it.
It
You get it to
makes
that guy.
that's what happened with Hill with that 50-yard, throw touchdown. But what happened? They still lost that game. They
I
because
still
now
lost.
here's the thing with
they
losing the game. Or go ahead, Matt.
in the NFL scoring 24 points should win you a game. The Chiefs have a terrible defense.
Yeah, and they were up against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
Exactly.
Aaron Jones went off. What did he have? Like 275 yards rushing. He had an insane amount.
No. He had only
Or
67 yards rushing, but he
oh,
had
excuse me.
159 yards
Yeah,
receiving.
so like a crazy amount of combined offense. He went off.
Yeah.
Two receiving touchdowns.
And
Yeah.
sorry. What I was gonna say was what I'm coming at from here is that when it comes down to the fourth quarter, like we saw against the Green Bay Packers, they couldn't capitalize on it. They couldn't because what it was tied until the fourth, and then look what happened. Green Bay Packers, they ended up scoring more. They ended up having more of a drive. They ended up having better stops. They've ended up having better plays. I think honestly right now, I mean the Chiefs they need to start working on um, more better offense because like you said, Mahomes likes to get out the tackles and throw those 30-yard throws, but I mean if you look at the Lions, how the Lions are playing right now, and you look how the 49ers are playing, 10 yards at a time, baby. 10 yards at a time. Sure, you'll score, but your defense is shit. So what's going to happen? They're just going to score just as much as you, and they're going to keep it up. And then because of your defense, you're going to end up losing. But I think what it is that Mahomes needs to chill out on the whole, bazooka throw.
Oh yeah, time
You
of
know,
possession.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's a
yeah,
great point, Dan. Great point because if an explosive offense is great, but if you don't have like a competent defense, that can be trouble because like here's the thing, scoring a play like getting a touchdown in 30 seconds is just as bad as going 3 and out if you're worried about your
Yeah.
defense's endurance and their
Yep.
energy and fatigue.
I
You
brought
know,
that up last week. The way Kansas City can sustain this and fix itself by starting to
on the
Andy
clock.
Reid control the clock. Exactly. Andy Reid has always been a big play kind of guy. That's why Alex Smith was such a weird fit. But because
Mhm.
Alex Smith was a game manager and able to sometimes make those good throws, the Chiefs were very, I would say, were at some of their best when they were able to run the ball, manipulate the clock, get the big plays when they can.
yeah.
Now I wanted to bring something up from that too, real quick. The Green Bay Packers offense is no different really from last year, except besides the Raiders game, they actually have been taking their time. They haven't been as because Aaron Rodgers is known for that too. Aaron Rodgers is known for throwing those 40, 50-yard throws, getting that touchdown, and still losing the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's known for that too. So what they're doing, I mean, they're 7-1. This is what it should be opposite. It
They
should be
should be
Kansas
6 and
City.
2. They should be 6 and 2. I'm just
I
saying.
mean, yeah, we'll say that for Drew's comfort. They should be 6-2, but right now they're 7-1. It should be different. It's Kansas City with the talent they have. They should be 7-1. And to be honest, Green Bay should be 5-3. But Green Bay actually is doing what they should be doing. They should be keeping that offense, those plays that they love to do, but slowing it down, not giving them a chance to come back because I think that's a major part when it comes to teams who know how to throw the ball is that they don't know how to slow the clock down. And I'm glad that Green Bay is actually starting to see that. I
Well,
mean, besides like,
that's been the meta for teams against like playing against the Chiefs. The Colts dominated time of possession. I want to say the Texans did the same thing. You
I mean,
know?
it's what the Saints did a lot in their win streak with Teddy Bridgewater. We just slowed the game
Exactly.
way down.
Exactly.
We're not explosive. We're methodical.
Yeah.
And then,
Which
and
is a
then
good
when
way to
and then
do
when
it.
Bridgewater, when they wanted to score, they scored. When they wanted to score,
Yeah.
that's the best part. Is that I mean they had a couple of long throws. I mean near the end of a quarter. I know that throw that Bridgewater did to I believe Thomas for like 40+ yards. I mean they did that
Yeah.
here and there, but they still know how to slow it down, and that's why they're I believe 7-1 right now as well. Correct?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is to it. The Kansas City needs to slow it down. Same thing with the Bucks. The Buccaneers, they need to slow it down. They can literally do a shootout all day if they want to because they have such great talent. But I mean, if you're not able to utilize the time clock, then you're just messing yourself up.
Yeah. One real quick thing, because we do have to move on.
We do.
That I don't know about Andy Reid's decision to punt it with 5 minutes left in the game. I do understand why he did it. I do understand they got the ball on the 1. They still had 3 timeouts, but here's the thing: if you're concerned, I don't know. I can really see both sides to this. I don't know because the Packers were able to drive down the field methodically with 5 minutes on the clock and still kneel it out. And that's all I'm going to say about that with Kansas City's defense, where once again their defense is going to be the Achilles heel for this team. No matter how much offense you have or how much talent you have on offense, that could be the issue for the Kansas City Chiefs. So
I think
go ahead.
I think they did a very bad job at punting with 5 minutes left. They have such a great conversion rate when it comes to third downs and fourth downs. I think you're gonna lose. I think you should just go for it at that point.
Andrew, to your statement, Andrew, I think that, and I agree with Dan on this, and again, I said that last week as well. If they just decide to slow the game down and stop trying to be this explosive team, they can really help out their defense by keeping the offense off the field.
Yeah,
Other
and that's
offense
how
off the
teams are going to
field.
use it against them.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, you want to score on us in 30 seconds, we'll let you do that, but we'll keep your defense out there for like 7, 8, 10 minutes.
32 minutes.
We're
32
just
minutes a game.
It's bad.
You know what might be bad too is maybe this might not be proven, but I mean it could be also a little bit of stat padding when it comes to Mahomes. It could be wanting that prestigious title of 4 touchdowns a game, 4 touchdowns a game, 3 I think just let it happen. Look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady just lets it fucking happen, and he's known as one of the greats. I think Mahomes needs to now. I think he's at a point where he doesn't really need to prove himself. He's shown us what he's capable of. I think he just needs to be a little bit more prideful and actually have a chance on his team winning. If that makes sense.
So
I
see what you're saying, but counterpoint: Brady's been in the league since we were in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And he's still winning Super Bowls. The thing with Mahomes is that this is his sophomore season starting.
Third.
Well, no. In respect to starting his sophomore season.
I heard starting.
My bad. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. I don't think it's so much Mahomes. I think it's more Andy Reid with his play calling. But let's move on to Dolphins Steelers real quick. Dolphins are up 14-0 at one point. My coworker, the Bears fan, she told me, she's like, the Dolphins are winning 14-0 right. I'm like, no fucking way. And I look at my phone, I'm like, holy shit. And I told like 5 people at work, and they were all really surprised. But the Steelers came back and won 27-14.
The tank.
Here's the thing. I don't know if there's too much to talk about this game. Like, Fitzpatrick was 21-34, 190, 2-2 for touchdowns and interceptions. Rudolph, 20 for 36, 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But here's the thing. This is what I want to say with this. If the Bengals and the Dolphins have not won a game by the time they play Week 16, I really hope that I hope the NFL flexes that to Sunday Night Football.
Why?
That would be awesome to watch. Are you kidding me? That would be amazing to watch.
I go back to what I said with the Redskins game. That game is going to end in a frickin' tie.
Came down to a botched 2-point conversion.
They're both just so bad.
And that's what makes it fun. Okay. So
Real quick on the Steelers and Dolphins game. It's because Juju actually showed up today. Juju showed the fuck up today.
against the
Got a
Dolphins.
touchdown, 103 yards. I mean,
5
I don't
receptions.
think
That's
I've
impressive. It is.
much
Yeah.
from lately, and I think it's definitely it's definitely good when the Steelers can utilize both Connor and Juju. Kind of, I mean, they have great talent. They have great talent. I think if they could just utilize their running game with Connor more, I mean, that not it was the game before who they faced. They faced
The Bengals.
was it the Bengals? I mean, that's not that impressive then, but Connor really showed up that game, and I think if Connor and Juju both show up, because Connor also had 145 yards and a touchdown, I think the Steelers are going to be in a decent spot. I mean, they haven't had a hot start, but I think they're really going to be a decent spot if they could just utilize their talent better.
With the NFC North, that's
AFC.
not Jesus AFC North. Excuse me. Steelers are in second now. Ravens in first 5-2. Steelers 3-4. Browns 2-5, and Bengals are 0-8.
That's
But
amazing.
it is. So
That is
Dan,
amazing.
it is. Dan, you had a couple hot takes. Let's get those in real quick. We'll react to them. Briefly talk about them because we're getting real close to 2 hours at this point.
It's already 2 hours.
Oh Jesus, yeah. Let's go. Fire them off, Dan.
You want my hot takes on the next upcoming games or
Not upcoming games, just hot takes in general. Like if you have like
Yeah.
a statement, like for last week I said like for example I said Kyler Murray's gonna finish with better stats than Baker Mayfield. Stuff like that, you know. If you want to talk games, say like a sentence or two after your pick. We'll kind of go from there. We'll keep it quick though, okay?
I mean,
Yeah.
I think Melvin Gordon's gonna shit on the Packers this
Okay.
next game. I think he's gonna be back. I think honestly, I mean, I don't know. I really haven't thought too much on these hot takes, but that's one I really wanted to say. I think Gordon's gonna shit all over the Packers. I don't know why. I feel it coming. I just see it coming. Also, I think this is what I remember talking about a little bit earlier. I think that the Saints are going to finish first with wins and losses. I think the Patriots are going to be second, and I think the 49ers are going to be third. That's my bold prediction.
Interesting.
I am pleased with this.
And then you guys get fucked over by a call because the football gods are angry about Big Downnygate.
You know
And,
what? We have had 5 of those reversed. We're done. It's over.
And those are my hot takes. Oh, and that the Colts are going to be the number one in their division, hands down. I think when the next second half of this NFL season, I think the Colts are gonna stay number one, and they might even have a good lead over the rest.
Okay.
That's my personal take.
All right.
I have 2.
Okay. Go ahead.
So these are hot takes, right? I'm going to say Thursday Night Football is held in Glendale, Arizona against the 49ers. I'm going to say the Cardinals win in a shootout.
No.
So dead ass. I was about to when we do the prediction, I was seriously about to be like, so I can put us all down for San Francisco, right? But okay. What's your second one?
The second one is also going to be shootout related. I'm going to say the Chiefs win in Arrowhead against the Vikings in a shootout.
Okay. I don't really have anything for this upcoming week, honestly, for hot takes.
Oh my god, it's Jets versus Dolphins this week.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. Okay, you guys ready for predictions?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do this.
Let me get it on the screen here.
Now, mind you, hot takes are not my actual play picks.
Oh, you're good. Oh, they're not your picks. Okay.
It's just a hot take. No, I'm not gonna. No.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna do this.
Just hot takes. Yeah. Do.
Okay. Let me.
Pull it
Okay.
up.
Sweet. Okay. San Francisco and Arizona. In Arizona, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna take the 49ers. Matt.
I'm gonna take the 49ers.
Okay. Dan.
I mean, I thought we are all taking the 49ers.
Cool. All right, moving on. Houston, Jacksonville. I got Houston. Matt.
It's in Wembley.
Oh, and that's right. It's a London game. Oh,
I
that's
got
right.
Jacksonville.
Okay.
Got the
Jacksonville plays great in London.
Yeah, I have the Jags as well.
Okay. If I could like properly like type this in here.
Andrew sticking with Houston?
I got Houston. Chicago at Philadelphia. I have Philadelphia.
Matt, what
Sorry.
do you think?
That's a hard one.
All right, I'll go next because I already know who I'm picking. The Bears.
Okay. Da Bears. Who you got, Matt?
I'll pick the Eagles.
Okay. Minnesota at Kansas City. I'm gonna go ahead. Well, here's the thing. This is why it's hard. I'll go last. Because Minnesota, they have a good front seven. They can really rush the ball pretty well. Now, granted,
Their secondary is booty butt cheeks.
there is that. However, the O line for Kansas City is garbage. And then also, Brett Coleman put up a video about how good the Kansas City front seven is, or not Kansas, excuse me, Minnesota front seven is. So he probably laid the Coleman curse on them, and they're fucked. I'll go Kansas City.
I am also gonna go Kansas City.
All right, Dan, who you got?
I got the Vikings this game. I think they're gonna pull it off. You can't stop Cook right now. You can't stop Diggs, and Kirk Cousins is playing the best football we've seen since God knows how long.
Can I go
Going
back on my
Vikings.
pick? Are these locks officially right now? That is a good point. I forgot about Cook. Oh, that makes it hard. That makes it really hard.
He's gonna get at least 3 to 4 touchdowns.
You know what? No,
For sure.
you know what?
The
I'm gonna
Chiefs-
stick with Kansas City. I don't think they've already lost 3 at home. I don't think they're gonna lose 4 straight home games. So
and to the Chiefs' defense, they have locked down on the run game
yeah.
the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, but the Vikings are all about the passing game.
No, they've actually been really heavy on the run.
When it comes to red zone,
No, in general, the Vikings have been a run-heavy team.
no. The Vikings are
Absolutely.
so good at adapting. I got the Vikings. You guys are not gonna change my fucking mind right now.
That's
Telling
fine.
you right now.
I don't need to.
It's not
I
a
don't
bad
want
pick.
to.
I think Kirk Cousins is gonna throw over 300 yards, guaranteed.
Okay.
Probably.
Indianapolis at Pittsburgh. I got Indianapolis.
I also have the Colts.
Dan?
I have the Colts as well.
Okay. Well, that settles that. The Jets at the Dolphins. I got the Jets.
Ew.
You guys are gonna laugh at who I'm picking.
I'm picking the Dolphins.
Really?
I am also picking the Dolphins.
Okay.
I think the Jets are a
No,
worse
no, no,
team
no,
than
no, no.
Miami.
Okay.
No. I changed my mind. I'm going with the Jets because I think they're having their tight end come back right now. Actually, the one that was suspended, forgot his name.
Herndon?
But
All right. Are you locking it?
him and-
You locking your pick?
I'm locking in with the Jets.
You're locking
Yep.
in with the Jets.
I
Okay.
I
I'll
think
lock
Crowder's
with
gonna have
the
a
Dolphins.
Okay. Washington at Buffalo. I'm gonna take the Bills.
If Keenum was playing, I'd actually think about the Redskins in this, but I'm gonna take the Bills.
Okay.
This one's hard because I really think that this could be one of those upset games, but I'm gonna go with the Bills just to be safe.
If I knew Keenum was playing, I would have picked the Redskins.
Tennessee at Carolina. I'm gonna roll with Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina.
Matt.
Give me the Panthers.
Okay. Once again, we all picked Carolina. Whoa.
God. All right, cool. So they're gonna lose 2 in a row. Nice.
Probably Detroit at Oakland.
Hmm.
I'm gonna take the Raiders on this one.
I'm going Detroit. I'm going Lions.
Lions haven't traveled that well this season. I'll take the Raiders.
Okay. Tampa Bay at Seattle. I got Seattle.
I have Seattle.
I have the Bucks. I'm going for the Bucks.
Wow.
Okay, Packers at Chargers. I got Green Bay. There are gonna be so many Packers fans there. It's gonna sound like Lambeau 2.0.
And
Go Matt.
the Chargers are just so beat up, and I don't think they're motivated enough. Give me the Packers.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Okay, Cleveland at Denver. Oh man.
Cleveland. I'm going Browns.
I am also going to go with the Browns. The Broncos have some dude named Allen starting.
Fair point. I'm gonna go with. See, I could go with the meta where it's like our season stinks, but I'll take the Browns. So that way, I'm with you guys no matter what. I don't know. It's in Mile High.
Browns won there last year.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Kareem Hunt's back.
Oh, he is. You know what? Fine. I'll go with the Browns.
Yeah.
So Patriots at the Ravens. I got the Ravens.
I said the same thing. Ravens.
Whoa.
Were you surprised by that, Matt? See, that's the thing. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous about this game. And Harbaugh has always had our number. I don't know. I could see the Patriots winning, but I could also see the Ravens also definitely winning too.
But you know what? Give me the Patriots. And my explanation is the way they're playing football right now travels very well.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the spotlight's going to be a little bit too much for Lamar Jackson. I feel like Lamar Jackson's going to have a good rushing game. I don't think he's going to be able to pass effectively, and he can't do it all with his legs.
Yeah, but here's the okay. So you'll take the Patriots. Okay.
I will take New England.
Cool. All right, last one. Dallas at New York. Cowboys at Giants. I got the Cowboys.
I gotta go with the Giants.
You said Giants? Okay.
Andrew, did you say the Giants or the Cowboys?
Oh, I said Cowboys.
Whoa, that was weird. My brain heard Giants, and I was like, wow. The Cowboys are 1-2 away, and the Giants are 1-3 at home. Dang it. The Cowboys, I guess.
Okay. Is that a lock?
Yeah, that's a lock.
It's a lock.
I guess.
Okay, well, I'd say this is fairly diverse for, well, not the first half, but the second half. It's all right. It's all right. We got the meta going, but
this is the most diverse we've ever been.
And then we got the season correct and season wrong. I'm on the left, Matt in the middle, Dan on the right. So we'll see. I'm 41-17, Matt is 36-22, and Dan is 39-19. So we'll see how it goes. It's
single tier.
We got an interesting week of football coming up. That's for sure.
Yeah, not all of these games are very predictable. A lot of these are kind of a little bit tough. A lot of them are exotic matchups.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that Patriots game, but anywho, it's been a minute. We've been talking for a long time.
Bad approaches.
Yeah. I am Drew.
And I am Matt.
And I am finally Daniel.
This is Dan. We hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a very, very long podcast. If you've made it this far, we really appreciate it. Please leave some comments. If you're going to leave some hot takes, we will keep an eye out for them, and we will hold back on recording until maybe Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. We will see. But yeah, we'll figure something out. We hope you guys have a good week, and hopefully this is an upcoming week of some good football.
Yeah, we'll also try and make sure that we cut these down to a little bit less than 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll work on it. We'll work on it.
Maybe two podcasts, guys. What do you think?
2 of them. Oh man, I don't know. If we're gonna talk football, we're gonna talk football. But anywho, we will figure that out. Everyone, have a good rest of your evening and have a good rest of your week.
Bye.
Take it easy.
Guys.